Finally, as I mentioned, Heatwave is over. I can finally breathe a little easier now, because really 38 degrees Celsius, that was a handful. Well, at least it only reached these heights for grand total of 2 days, but still, 35 degrees is also plenty in these conditions. However, good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world. I'm starting a little later than usual tonight, because I had to take care of an important business. Or rather, I was forced to take care of an important business later than usual due to circumstances outside of my control. Tonight, we are going back to HtR the Reckoning, the Beast of Glenkildove, and hopefully we'll manage to finish it within this stream. And if not, I will be a little disappointed in myself. Maybe we'll be able to do this in a guerrilla stream at some point on Friday. Hopefully, maybe. We'll have to see how it goes. Now, let me just put on some dungeon synth, which should be hopefully appropriate enough, and we can pick up right back where we ended. Let's see here. There we go. So, Chapter 9, Lost and Gone Forever. I am alone against hordes. I cannot stop nor let go. I stand here in the long, cold hours, alone against every foe. Tame Bo quailing. Niam's bedroom has been devastated. There are muddy boot prints on the carpet, and the little chair is shattered, kindling on the floor. Blood has been splattered across a picture of a unicorn tacked to the wall and stains the page at an open children's book, Myths and Legends of Ireland, the one you read to her at the start of the night. It feels like a lifetime ago. The race back through the caves was a nightmare. Jamie's ugly dying laughter pursuing you through the darkness, his gun with its one remaining silver bullet in your possession. You were too late. The Red Branch Knights had already struck at the wolf's head. They must have come through the woods. Mare met them at the front door, her wolfhounds at her heels. They seemed to have clubbed her down with contemptuous ease, but Bran accounted for one of them before they hacked him apart with machetes. At the front door you find the body of a Red Branch Knight, his throat torn out, lying in a pool of blood underneath the dog's dismembered body. Together you lift up Mare's unconscious body and put her on the sofa in the living room before heading upstairs. Yeah, how could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run. Don't remember how the rest of the song goes, however. Upstairs it is just as you feared. They've taken Niam. Cormac's face is white with fear and rage. Claudia looks sick. They're going to kill her. Oh god, they're going to kill that little girl. Daniel puts a hand on Claudia's shoulder. No, Claudia. They're not going to kill her. We're going to save her. And if they try to stop us, we're going to kill them. Claudia gives a grim smile. She seems to be returning to herself. Right. We know one thing from what bastard Jamie told us down below. She is to be there as Samhain sacrifice at Glenkildove. That's this time tomorrow night. We have 24 hours. We don't need 24 hours, Daniel says. We know where they are. Their freaky cult compound. Let's hit them there now. Claudia shakes her head. No. They'll be expecting us or the police or both to do that. They won't be there anymore and they'll probably have trapped it. Besides, we need the time to prepare. From what Niam had said, Imani told him we'll be going up against werewolves. Remember the all-weather gallops at Greenwood? We'll be up against at least 3 of those things, and this time they'll know we're coming. We're going to need all the help we can get. Who owes us a favor? And who have we pissed off for that matter? Who do we have to watch out for? Checked on the general state of anime streaming today. Go went under in November, left streaming without a solitary stable video player. Can't wait when Crunchyroll's monopoly is finally shattered. Things remain bleak. What else is new? Can we call the guards? Asks Daniel. You shake your head and explain the situation to the others. You're one of Ireland's most wanted at the moment. Claudia grimaces. This is not good. There might be a way to at least turn down the heat a bit, though. Manhunts are expensive. If we're gonna get through to someone in Dublin Castle, or persuade them to assist those resources elsewhere... Maybe. I don't think it'll be as easy as you think. You think about what Mayor told you about Orla O'Donnell's fixation on gaining custody of Niam, her great-granddaughter. You arranged for Orla's legal case to gain custody of Niam to fall apart. She will be very angry with you. Although the Red O'Donnells have a reputation as brutal brawlers and might have been useful against the Red Branch Knights, you have already alienated their matriarch. A torrent more, but it will kill my built-up ratio. You think about the Society of St. Leopold. The Society views you as a traitor. Not only can you expect no help from them, but you will have to be wary. They may well have sent a team out to kill or capture you. Then there is the Arcanum. You doubt they can offer much physical support, but their archives are vast and extensive. They might have knowledge you could use in the battle ahead. And they owe you. There's also FODA, the biotech company run by the enigmatic Mulcahy. Is that how you pronounce them? Let me remind myself. Mulcahy? Yeah, I guess Mulcahy it is. Una and Finula. They have extensive resources and have hinted that they are capable of formulating compounds that might be particularly effective against lycanthropes. Perhaps you should call them. Then there is the Duffy crime family. They've been mixed up in all of this ever since the summer of Simon's death, and they have guns, fighters, drugs, and cash. Unfortunately, they regard you as an enemy. You will have to watch out for Ray and Deco. They may well be down in Wicklow looking for you, adding another factor to the upcoming confrontation. Then, there are the werewolves themselves. You think over what you have learned about them. You discovered that Imane Mokrani, who once saved you from Glenkildove caves, was one of them and once their leader before Rory hadn't seized control of the pack. But she died in the tunnels underneath the wolf's head. Based on Imane's description of Rory, there will be no chance of turning him aside from the path he's chosen. He's obsessed with the idea of taking revenge on the human world. You feel certain now that it was Rory who called you up last week to threaten Niam after your first hunt. He must have been laying his plans even then. Imane mentioned Eamon as the gentlest and calmest member of the pack, but you handed Eamon over to the Arcanum. He will be somewhere in their mysteriously extensive chapter house, under constant watch. Imane also spoke of Grey, the fiercest and wildest of the pack. As far as you know, you have never met her. According to Imane, the oldest member of the pack is Old Tom, an elderly tramp who's wandered the roads for decades. You remember an encounter with him just before you entered the caves 9 years ago. It was Tom who pursued you through the darkness that day. Supposedly, Old Tom is increasingly violent and unpredictable. You have to assume that he will take Rory's side. There's a long silence while you contemplate the odds against you. Then Cormac speaks. When I was little, my dad came back from the fields with a lamb. It was lambing season and her mother had died. I was mad about animals back then. My dad said I could look after her. I called her Lucky. I can't remember why. We kept her in the barn. I made her a little nest out of straw for a bed. I fed her milk from a bottle. I remember the smell of the rubber tip and the warm milk, the way she'd latch on and let me cradle her in her arms while she drank. Well, Lucky turned from a lamb into a sheep and she had to go back to the fields. I pleaded and pleaded with Dad, but he said we couldn't keep a full-grown sheep as a pet. We took her up there. She didn't want to go. She'd never seen any other sheep before. She'd never lived out in the open or slept on the hard ground. Da said he thought she was human. I used to think of her up there on cold and rainy nights, waiting for someone to come and find her and bring her back home. An animal who thought they were human. Cormac nods. Like me, he says quietly. He looks into the distance. It was for Niam for a little while. I was with Niam for a little while before we gave her to Mare. I held her in my arms, played with her tiny little fingers. I fed her. The smell of the milk and the rubber was just the same, even after all those years. I promised I'd never ever let harm come to her. There are tears in his eyes. I know I've hurt you all. What I did was unforgivable. But we need to finish this. We need to save Niam. I hated you for a long time, Claudia says slowly. I held on to that hate. Even as I found out more, even as I learned about how fucked up things really are, even on days when my brother's murder seemed like just one more tiny pebble in this huge pyramid of cruelty and suffering that they've built up all around us. That hate had to keep me going. Now though, I don't know. Cormac did something terrible, but he deserves a chance to redeem himself. Excuse me for a second, I need to take a call, so be right back. Not anymore. That was a momentary madness. Now then, as I was going to say, Cormac did something terrible, but he deserves a chance to redeem himself. Fine, Claudia says. She points at Cormac. But let me be clear here, we're not friends, and I'd be happier if you were sedated, bound up, and thrust back in those caves. Daniel speaks, addressing Cormac without looking at him. I blamed you for Simon's death for a long time. I wanted to kill you. I think because you scared me, because what happened to Simon scared me. But what doesn't matter now? Kitty's dead. She believed that it wasn't your fault. Maybe she was right. I'd like to think that. Cormac shakes his head. I'd like to as well. But that day at Glenkildove, I wanted to kill Simon, because he was the reason why my father was dead. That anger was in my heart. It was me, so his death is on me. Simon was just trying to do the right thing. He didn't realize it would get Terry killed. Daniel shrugs. It doesn't matter now, it's ancient history. What matters is stopping those fuckers who took Neum. Cormac closes his eyes. I'm going to search these hills. I know Neum's smell and I know the smell of those bastards who came here and took her. Maybe I can find them. Claudia speaks next. I'm going to get to work. First thing, I'm going to get us guns. I worked with a group of militant hunters in Arizona. They taught me the basics of how to shoot. There's an old guy up in Cavan, IRA gunrunner turned hunter, armorer after Rots killed his brother. He just sits in his crumbling old farmhouse up there and makes weapons and bombs to kill monsters all day long. He might not have anything much on such short notice, but it's better than nothing. Well, it's about time the rest of us were armed like Liam, Daniel adds. Claudia looks at you. Make sure you get back here before 8 PM, Claudia. No, I'll just say, be careful. Claudia salutes. Yes, boss. She's not being sarcastic. You realize that ever since you emerged from the caves, everyone has naturally assumed that you are in charge. They're looking at you to lead them, to guide them through this chaos and terror. How do you feel about that? And how does our leadership stat looks like? Still at 2. And charisma at 2. I'm stoic. I can do this, and it's good that I don't have to fight the others to do so. Daniel stands up. I'm going back to Dublin. He raises a hand at Claudia as Claudia, furious, opens her mouth. Just temporarily. I'll come back, but the way I see it, we all have our specialties. Mine is moving money around. He looks at you. I've still got a couple of emergency stashes, offshore bank accounts in the Caymans. You're going to need money to pay for these weapons, Claudia. I'm going to get it to you. It's time to consider what you need to do yourself. Your mind keeps returning to the unconscious mare who left you downstairs. She clearly needs medical attention, but do you have time to take her to hospital some 20 miles away in Wicklow town? And the guards are looking for you. Next door in the Wolf's Head property, you can hear Joe the bartender at work. The Wolf's Head closes down over the winter months. Joe has just come by to do some maintenance. He won't be expecting to see Mare. If nothing stops him, he'll simply finish his work in the inn and then go. Perhaps you should tell him about what happened. Joe is a former boxer and a tough, practical man who is devoted to Mare and Neum. He would do anything he could to help, but if you could convince him first that you aren't crazy. But do you have the right to drag one more person into this dark world? Then again, it's been a long and exhausting night, and yet more grim work lies ahead of you. Perhaps the best thing you could do for Neum is to get some food and coffee inside you. What will you do? So, option 1. I'm gonna take Mayor in the jeep to the hospital. That's wits and driving. Wits 2, driving 1. Out of the question. Option 2. I'm going to go out into the woods to look for Survivor, the Irish wolfhound of mares who's still alive. Resolve and survival. Resolve 4, survival... Survival 1. Don't think it'll work. I'm going to go next door to explain to Joe what happened and ask for his help. Relationship with Kitty or Mare, or charisma and leadership. How's our relationship with Mare looking like? 56%, so not likely to succeed. Kitty, though, 63%, so... I'm going to document every detail of the Red Branch Knights' raid before too much time has passed. It might help my case if the law does become involved in this. More tending towards this option, or I'm going to go into the kitchen and have something to eat and drink, then wash and change my clothes. Plans may be useless, but planning is indispensable. So we're going with the second last option. You move through the house, meticulously taking pictures and dictating audio notes into your phone. The process of cataloging and documenting the cultist's violation of your aunt's home has an oddly calming effect, allowing you to distance yourself from the anger and fear that the raid inspired. By the end of half an hour, you will have a full record of the attack, which you store as a single file on the cloud. If you end up in a jail, it may help your legal case. And if you perish tonight, the file's existence may at least mean that the Red Branch Knights will not escape punishment. In the confrontation tonight, you're going to need all of the allies that you can get. But who should you turn to? Do we turn to Arcanum? Or do we turn to Fauda? You do remember that Arcanum already owes us one, but if we were to provide them with those biological samples we took from Imani before she expired, that might further incentivize them. Same with Fauda. However, taking into account our predisposition, let's call the Arcanum and ask for their help. The Book Lovers. Align with the Arcanum. You call Tottenham and briefly explain the situation. Of course, of course. How dreadful. It is not generally the Arcanum's policy to intervene in such matters, but we cannot allow your young relative to be butchered. We will begin combing our archives for anything significant at once. I'll send young Adam down with whatever we find and he can assist you. It is noon. The monsters you face tonight are far faster and stronger than you. You will need every advantage you can get. What will you do? Try to get some sleep. Gotta do some research on how to fight werewolves. Perhaps that will give me an edge in the battle to come. That's an easy one. Intelligence and academics. Gotta do some research on the werewolves' culture and way of thinking. Perhaps I will have a chance to negotiate with at least one or two of them. That being maybe Old Tom and or Gray. That's also intelligence and academics. I'm gonna try to find out why the Garda Shohana are after me and see if there is any way that I can resolve matters. Or we're gonna recover the secret annals of Glenkildove from where Saint Enda buried them. I am leaning more towards that option, or studying the werewolves' culture. But what do you, the viewers, think? No, really, I am curious as to what do you think? Even though there is not much of you tonight. Maybe on account of me starting later, maybe on account of people starting to lose interest in this series, but we are soldiering on, I suppose. We're soldiering on. Research to fight. Not my immediate choice. And are you sure you're gonna go with that one and not recover the secret annals of Glenkildove? Well, we're clearly at a bit of an impasse here, so I suppose also enjoy a little bit of a ASMR on that one, but nevertheless. And here I was preparing to flip a coin. We're gonna recover the secret annals of Glenkildove from where Saint Enda buried them. In Ireland, nothing is ever truly forgotten. The peat bogs preserve everything that sinks into them. The secrets of the past lie below the surface. You know from your moment of shared connection exactly where Enda buried his annals, in the peat bogs to the northeast of Glenkildove. You drive out there, a spade in the back of your jeep. The peat bogs are a lonely, desolate place. An expanse of black, buttery turf sucking at your feet as you walk, overlaid with tough, stringy grass. You know the spot the moment you step on it. You begin digging, and after a couple of hours of back-breaking labor, you strike something soft. A bundle wrapped in soft leather. You take it out, lay it on the hood of your jeep, and carefully unwrap it. The peat has preserved Enda's book perfectly. It is a gorgeous thing, made of soft vellum and decorated with the swirling knots and links of the Celtic Church. It is illuminated throughout in glowing jewel colors, red, green, and blue. The cover page shows a monk sitting serenely cross-legged, a quill in one hand and a pot of ink at the other. He seems oblivious to the monstrous figure looming behind him, its sharp white teeth bared and its long red tongue almost brushing against his shoulder. Flicking through it, you find that every page is adorned with images, most of them taken from the natural world. A red kite swooping down on a pigeon, an otter killing a fish, a wolf stalking a deer, all of them images of violence. You think about the circumstances under which Enda created the book. He did it at night, destroying his eyes by the light of a single flickering candle, in order that none of the other brothers should learn of the enterprise. And yet he took such pains to make it not just a record but a beautiful work of art. In doing so, he would have added years to the length of its creation. The text itself is in Latin. You look through it with mounting excitement. Enda learned much of the Glenkildove pack. He spoke to one member in the darkness of the caves below the monastery and another that he met on the barren and desolate seashore. There is a wealth of knowledge here, of the traditions and secrets of the Glenkildove clan. You have little doubt that this book represents the single greatest store of human knowledge on the Garou that exists. What should you do with it? Imane told you that the Glenkildove pack lost most of their oral traditions thanks to Mad Jack Dunbar's killings. From a single glance, though, you can tell that this book contains most of those traditions. But should you give up such a precious resource? If you offered it to the Arcanum, you could probably name your price. And if you scanned it and published it on the Hunter forums, you would be giving hunters around the world a priceless tool for the hunt. This knowledge of the Garou and their secrets could save lives. You'll have time to decide later. For now, it is time to return to the Wolf's Head. It is late afternoon. You still have a few hours before the confrontation at Glenkildove. They may yet be critical. You find yourself distracted by one thought: the vampire Noriko. She has been involved in this from the start. Now that you have double-crossed her, you can be certain that she is coming for you. Based on what you have seen of Noriko's methods, you suspect that she'll wait to strike at you until you and her other enemies, the werewolves of Glenkildove, have begun fighting. You have an intuition that she's come down here to Wicklow to see to it personally. You have made her very angry. But you have a chance of eliminating her now. If vampire lore is true, they need to sleep during the day. If you can find her hiding place in Wicklow, you might be able to destroy her now, eliminating at least one threat tonight. But can you afford the time? There are also other members of Rory's pack. You could even the odds tonight by picking one of them off. From what Imane told you, both Grey and Old Tom prefer their own company. If you could find one of the other, you might be able to eliminate them or perhaps even persuade them to change sides. There are other places with just as much info, but we don't speak of those. Those places are not reputable sources. You and I both know it. Now, in regards to this choice, I am personally leaning towards trying to find Noriko's hiding place, to eliminate that particular unknown. Alternatively, we try to reconnect with Old Tom. He did try to persuade us to back away from the caves, but that was 9 years ago, and we haven't met him since. Decisions. So as it stands, I am leaning more towards getting rid of the vampire. Hopefully we will not be able to mess up any of those rolls. So, vampire it is. I'm gonna try to find Noriko's hiding place. Your search starts with some research on the Hunter channels online to which Claudia gave you access. You find that the consensus there is that vampires are creatures of the cities. Cities' high populations give vampires a deep pool of victims to feed from, while their anonymity means that they can avoid detection for long periods of time. If Noriko was going to be present in Wicklow for any length of time, she would probably want to be in or near a real town, not a village or hamlet. There are only 4 such towns in County Wicklow: Bray, Greystones, Wicklow Town, and Arklow. Your intuition rules out the first 2, they're too far north, so your search must focus on the area between Wicklow Town and Arklow. How will you go about it? Option 1, ask around and see if anyone has heard of anything suspicious. That's Charisma and Persuasion. Charisma 2, Persuasion 1. Gotta look through the country's property purchase records to see if I can find anything linking back to Noriko. That's Intelligence and Streetwise. And finally, I'm gonna use tracking skills to try to locate her hiding place. That's Wits and Survival. I don't like any of those options, believe it or not. Not one bit. Charisma and Persuasion, once again, that is 2 and 1. Intelligence and Streetwise, that's 2 and 0. And Wits and Survival is 2 and 1. So our best option remains Charisma and Persuasion. Let's see if we can do anything about it. You drive into Wicklow Town and begin making cautious inquiries. Whatever Noriko is, she must have left some kind of trace of her presence and you intend to find it. You have to be careful. The guards are looking for you. Fortunately, they don't seem to have told the general public of your wanted status. You suspect that if it is indeed Noriko who has put out the call for you to be arrested, she wants you taken in quietly. You do waste precious time, however, in taking circuitous routes so as to avoid the Garde. Nobody is willing to talk to you. They seem frightened at the direction your inquiries are taken and simply shrug or change the subject or even walk away. It seems clear that Noriko has gotten to them. You are just crossing the supermarket, car parked next to the Jeep when a sleek silver Porsche pulls up next to you. The rear window slides down and you are looking at the back muzzle of a shotgun. You react with immediate speed, throwing yourself down on the ground, barely avoiding the thunderous blast. The Porsche pulls off again, leaving you to scramble to your feet. Noriko's people are clearly aware that you are looking for her and have decided to strike at you. You are lucky to be alive, but you have no chance now of finding the elusive vampire. You return to your Jeep and drive back to the Wolf's Head. As expected. We're lucky to be alive. It's late in the day. The sun has gone down and the full moon is rising up, illuminating the Wicklow Mountains above the Wolf's Head in haunting shades of silver. You know that you will be going into battle soon. Entering the kitchen, you meet Claudia, coming in from the outside and struggling under the weight of a duffel bag. Guns. Lots of guns. Not all in working order, mind you, but there should be one for everyone in the audience, as the late gay Byron used to say. I know you've got a gun, but I thought you might want a backup. She hands you a double-barreled shotgun. Everyone is here. It's time to go. One by one, you climb into the Jeep. It is a short, tense drive. You're forced to leave the Jeep at the base of the mountains where the road ends. Beyond lie the maze-like winding trails and dark woods of Glenkildove, stalked by monsters. The full moon rising overhead paints the network of leafless branches over your head with glowing silver filigree. You can just see the lights of Bally Avon in the distance below you. It's strange to think of people drinking at the pub or falling asleep in the night over their TV screens back there, completely unaware of the desperate battle that is about to unfold in the darkness above their homes. Somewhere in that darkness is a frightened little girl. You must find her and bring her home. You look up the path that leads to Glenkildove, remembering the summer day that you first walked in. You first walked it, all those years ago. The Red Branch Knights will have been busy. You can expect ambushes, barricades, and traps all the way up to Glenkildove. They will have turned these trails into a lethal, horrifying playground. And among the trees beyond the path, a distant howling sounds, and it is echoed by another and another. The werewolves are waiting for you. Cormac slips out of the car and disappears into the shadows of the trees without a form. Without a word. You know that he will be making his own way up the mountain in a strange and terrible form. You can almost feel sorry for any Red Branch Knights who stand between him and his daughter tonight. One way or another, you need to get to Glenkildove. The path ahead is guarded by Red Branch Knight cultists armed with guns, machetes, and grenades. The woods beyond the path are stalked by werewolves. How will you do it? Option 1. We'll take to the woods and rely on my survival skills to evade the werewolves under the trees. Ha ha. As usual, wits and survival. No. We'll try to sneak through the ditch along the path, evading the Red Branch Knights' ambushes and choke points through stealth. Dexterity 3. Clandestine 2. Maybe. We will fight our way up the path. I take point and lead the assault. That's Resolve 4. And Firearms 3. Better odds. Or we'll fight our way up the path. I will command and coordinate the attack. That's Charisma and Leadership. A little worse odds. I suggest we take point. No complaints from the audience? No complaints from the audience as far as I can tell. Didn't think so. Knots of Red Branch Knights, emaciated men with shaven heads clutching assault rifles and shotguns, command defensive positions all the way up the trail. The resistance looks formidable, but you know that it is next to nothing beside the real threat that stalks through the woods to either side. You simply have to break through them in an overwhelming onslaught before the werewolves can descend on you. You draw your gun. It's time to put it to use. For the reckoning! You and the others must seem to be in the Red Branch Knights to rise up out of the night like avenging angels, guns blazing. You take full advantage of their surprise and dismay, firing shot after shot as you charge forwards. Every single shot you fire takes an enemy life. The Red Branch Knight's morale has been eroded by months of Arthur Snow's drugs and horrific mind games, by their terror of the monster he serves, by the loss last night of their idol Jamie, and above all, by their terror of you and the reckoning you are bringing to them. Unable to deal with the sheer fury of your attack, they drop their guns and flee into the woods on either side. Seeing their companions break in this way demoralizes those further up the path. They flee their posts before you even get to them, and so you proceed unhindered up the trail to Glenkildove. And you find yourself, once again, racing down the slope, past the still black lake and the crumbling stones of the monastery and into the darkness of the woods. The winding mazy paths of the woods always did have their tricks. This time, it seems like just a few moments of running along darkened trails before you burst out again into moonlight and open air, just below the standing stones where you saw Simon die. A small crowd has gathered around the standing stones. Encircling the stones are hollow-eyed Red Branch Knights, wearing the same antler headgear as those in the caves last night. None of them are armed. All of the weapons must have gone to the cultists guarding the path below. At the center of the circle lies Niam, on the flat altar stone. She is dressed in the rabbit pajamas and fluffy dressing gown that she must have been wearing when the cultists broke into the wolf's head. Her eyes are wide and unfocused, and her breathing is slow and shallow, as though she has been drugged. Before her, with his back to you, is Arthur Snow, holding an iron sickle up to a moonlit sky that tints it with silver. He has changed from his three-piece suit into flowing white robes, while for a headdress he wears the skull of a magnificent giant Irish elk. And in the shadows of the standing stone stands a gigantic hirsute figure. It stands some 7 or 8 feet tall, its shoulders inhumanly broad, and its arms and legs as thick as tree trunks. Its angular, hairy face is a blend of animal and human, with sloping brows and mad, glaring yellow eyes. It stands there, head thrown back, as Snow capers in adoration before it. You know that this must be Rory Hannon, who usurped Imani's leadership of the Glenkildove pack. He awaits his sacrifice with a feral grin. Snow advances on Niam, who stares at him in dreamy incomprehension. He brandishes his sickle. So you know what we're going to do, right? You all know what we're going to do. So give me a second to set the scene a little bit better for what we are going to do. I've had this video in here somewhere. Well, all we need is a particular sound bit from that video. Let's see, maybe a little bit down here. It's gotta be down here. But if not, I can look it up. There it is. Now if... There we go. Now where is that particular bit? Gotta be somewhere over here. There it is. So?
This old king beneath our feet. I'll show the world the true meaning of reality. You know what, Jeremiah? You talk too much.
Well, we're not going to do exactly that. But we will shoot Snow from behind. Without thinking, you line your shotgun up with the back of Snow's head and pull the trigger. His head flies apart, fragments of skull mixing with shattered pieces of antler. He collapses like a puppet with its strings cut. You race forward to put yourself between Niam and Rory. Moments later, a gigantic red-brown wolf, the size of a young pony, has burst out of the woods and stands at your side. You know instinctively that this is Cormac, here to protect you and his daughter. Let me think as to what better music to set in this scene. Let's think about it. Where was it? Somewhere here. Ah, screw it. Let's go for the meme. The death of Arthur Snow seems to have awoken the remaining Red Branch Knights from a deep, terrible dream. They flee, tearing off their deer skull headdresses as they race into the woods. But Rory remains where he was, glaring down at all of you. When he speaks, his voice is gravelly and thick, as though it must force its way through deep, dark caverns. So you came, Hunter, and you have killed my prophet. Yes, I did. And now, I'm going to kill you. Rory laughs, an avalanche of noise. Fucking bring it, bud. Rory stretches, his body moving and contorting in ways that don't seem quite possible, that almost hurt the eye. It's good that you came. Brings things full circle. I'll kill you, I kill your friends, I kill fucking little Red Riding Hood on the stone. I make it painful, especially for her. Then the new age begins. Snow was full of shit about most things, but he was dead on about one thing. Civilization is weak and rotten. I'm going to cleanse it. Once again, you know what we're going to do.
Reality. You know what, Jeremiah? You talk too much.
He's already tensing, preparing for violence. Well, we'll see how the night goes. You got your fill of sacrifices for tonight. Option 1. I will attack at once and signal the others to do likewise, trying to take Rory by surprise. That's wits and athletics. Maybe. Option 2. We try to bait Rory into losing control and making mistakes. That's manipulation and intimidation. Not likely. Option 3. I'll try to coordinate our attacks, directing the fight against Rory. That's charisma and leadership. So, take your pick. Is it gonna be option 1 or is it gonna be option 3? Wits and athletics or charisma and leadership? 2 and 3 or 2 and 2? Now that we think about it, by sheer volume of luck. 2 and 3. Yep, so we're going to attack at once. You move as fast as you can, but Rory is faster yet, charging at you and roaring an animal cry of rage. Rory grins, exposing long and sharp canines. Cormac rushes at him. Rory squats down and grabs him by the scruff of the neck, then heaves the huge wolf off the ground. He pulls Cormac's head back and delivers a savage bite to the throat. Cormac howls in agony but manages to get free, his neck a blood-matted ruin, and bite down on Rory's shoulder. Rory staggers back and you and the others open fire. Hit in several different places at once, he staggers, straining to stay upright, then falls down. Cormac's body, lying on the bloodied and trampled grass, is twisted and warping, limbs elongating and fur retreating. Within moments, Cormac's human form lies before you. It has taken bloody and terrible punishment at Rory's hands. He clearly will not live long. He smiles up at you, blood glistening between his teeth. Liam? I'm here, Cormac. I had big plans. I was going to build a life with room for Liam. I was going to find a way to deal with all the shit in my head, all the awful stuff. I pictured a house, like a house from a kid's drawing, like the kind of those she might draw. Well, never would have happened. Couldn't have happened. I know that. But it got me through the worst nights after I quit junk. Just tell me you'll save Liam. Tell her I'm sorry, and that I loved her very much, even though she never knew me. She'll grow up knowing that she had a father who loved her. I promise. Cormac closes his eyes as though in relief, and he is dead. The others have recovered from the shock of the attack. Claudia bows her head. Poor Cormac, she says. Daniel nods. Poor Cormac, he says in agreement. You step over to where Rory lies, propped up against one of the standing stones. Dying, he has reverted to his human form. A naked, pale youth with sharply angular features and a thatch of dark hair. He stares at you, breathing with painful difficulty. So, he says. His Dublin accent is more clearly marked in this form. You killed me. Well done. I was the last chance this place had. The last real wilderness in Ireland. His laughter is rasping and mirthless. You think I was bad? Just you wait. Snow got a glimpse. If you knew the things me and mine protected you from, you'd be bashing little Liam's head in with a rock right now. You'd be getting down and worshipping me. You'll see. You'll see them come. I kneel down. Do you remember Charlie at the foster home? That little boy you terrorized. This is for him. I finish him off with a point-blank shot to the head. Rory's head is blown apart in a shower of blood, brains, and bone fragments. There is the sound of applause from the woods. Oh, well done. Good work indeed. Noriko steps out from under the shade of the trees. She is dressed in the same way as she was when you first met her, in an oversized white hoodie and grey tracksuit. She looks bronzed, out of place here. Glenkildove. It's been a long time since I was here. I don't have happy memories of my last visit. Of course, I didn't have a gang of heavily armed hunters clearing the way for me back then. Nor did I have a team of Syndexioi mercenaries with sniper rifles and silver-jacketed ammunition backing me up. Things would have been very different if I had. I'm surprised to see you out here in the open, where a person could get hurt. You seem to prefer the shadows. Noriko laughs. Trust me, a cadre of elite mercenaries armed with a high-powered weaponry is alleviating my fears. Please don't try to bait me. It all comes across as rather crude and childish when you're used to the intrigues and mind games of my kind. Noriko looks around her. Her eyes are distant and dreamy. This country was nothing like I thought it would be when I came here. When I was human. I had all kinds of ideas about it. A beautiful green island in the west, filled with open-hearted poets and dreamers. And then I got here and it was grey and rainy and horrible, and the people weren't friendly or welcoming or anything like they were supposed to be. They were as cold and miserable as the weather, with their cruel religion and their secrets and their grudges. She's lost in memories. And I wanted to go home after the first week, but I told myself I'd stay until the end of the summer, just to say I'd done it, and then I'd go back to Tokyo and never come back. But something horrible happened to me, just like it did to you, and I've been trapped here ever since. 40 years of night in a country I hate. Take care that this does not happen to you in your round. Do take care. However, where were we? This one. You weren't trapped. There was a simple way out, and you should have taken it the first night you awoke a monster. My heart stare makes my meaning plain. That's what you'd have done, is it? Maybe. Maybe not. Nobody knows just what they would or wouldn't do until they're put to the test. Noriko sighs. Like I told you, I was here once before, back in 1987. I came here because in that last month I met a man, an older man, although I didn't know just how much older. His name was Robert de Courtney, and I thought he was in love with me, and he asked me to do things for him. He gave me glimpses of his world, and it all felt so much bigger, so much more exciting than anything I knew. And one of the things he asked me to do was to come here where his kind couldn't set foot. I was to be his spy on his enemy's holy land. But they smelled de Courtney's taint on me the moment I set foot in the glen. They stalked me, hunted me, ran me down, and left me for dead. But de Courtney still had use for me, so he did not allow me to die. He made me what he is. He should have let you die. It would have been a cleaner end. Noriko shrugs. Perhaps. You see, I was trapped here in Ireland by what de Courtney did. I'm limited, you see? I'm bound to Ireland by blood. But I found out afterwards, long after he'd abandoned me and left Ireland, what de Courtney had wanted down here. This place has power. Power enough to break even the greatest bonds of our kind. If I perform a certain rite in the caves below here, it will set me free. What do you mean? Daniel's voice is hoarse and raw. You can tell that Noriko frightens him and that he is doing his best to maintain his usual bravado. She smiles at him. I'm talking about destroying what makes this place what it is. A gaping wound, a black hole, a wilderness. When I'm done with it, it will not be that anymore. It'll just be another empty, boring place on this island. Just a patch of bog, some old stones, and a few wizened old trees. It'll be his final defeat, she says, indicating Rory. With any luck, they'll build a shopping mall or something here someday. That would be entertaining. You're talking about stealing the power from this place, aren't you? How? And what are you going to use it for? Well put. Yes, I am. And my purpose is innocent enough. Billions of blameless commuters do it every day all around the world. I just want to go home. You've really done a great deal for me. Your hunt has cleared my way, brought me here. Now I need you to do one last thing. Come with me down into the caves. Show me to the sacred chamber you saw once before. That's where I need to carry out my work. After that, we can go our separate ways. You can collect your little cousin and go home, and I'll be going home too. Home to Japan. What's not to like about this deal? If you don't comply, my people have sniper rifles. They're all around us. If you refuse, they're going to start shooting. I've told them to start with a little girl. You consider the situation. Noriko seems to have the advantage. But then you remember what Tottenham said about the Beast of Glenkildove. Does something like that truly exist? Something that makes Glenkildove what it is? If so, Noriko's right will surely destroy it. What would that mean for Glenkildove, for the mountains and woods and lakes of Wicklow? Is she right that the spirit of this place deserves to be annihilated? What will you do? I will agree to lead Noriko to the caves, but I'm going to attack her while she's distracted with the ritual preparations. That's Dexterity, 3, and Melee, 3. Best bet so far. Or, I'll agree to lead Noriko into the caves, but instead I will try to lose her in the labyrinth of passages underground and slip away, leaving her trapped underground. That's stamina 4 and athletics 3. A little bit better of a choice. So what's gonna be? Is it stabity or losing? You lost me. Or stabity. Bring stabity. Like that one Gundam 00 character. But I will go and get myself a drink while you are pondering that. Because once again I'm feeling my throat killing me. Be right back. Let's see here. Aha. Yeah, 6 is less than 7, but 6 is shank. Somehow I had the feeling you'll go with that one. Option 3 it is. I'm just gonna let the game play, or rather, the background music play out to the end. Put on another one, and we'll see how it goes. Also, to answer your earlier question, I don't think there is an entire Dude playlist. There is at least 3 tracks that I'm going to put on, 2 of which you've already heard. So, Noriko gives the order. A squad of blood-clad soldiers melt out to the woods. They look like insectile aliens or robots in their dark combat gear, bristling with weapons, grenades, and electronic equipment. They look like avatars of brutal new age. Their leader salutes. All threats eliminated contained. Noriko smiles. Looks like between us we made quite a team. They're all dead, Hunter. They'll kill no more human beings in defense of their precious sacred wilderness. Noriko's mercenaries grab Rory's body and heave him ahead of you to the cliff pathway into the caverns. We'll need his blood for the ritual, Noriko explains. You follow behind. Once you're inside, darkness swallows you up. The mercenaries switch on helmet-mounted lamps, but their glare does little to dispel the gloom. You weren't sure you would remember the way after so many years, but it is as though the paths down to the chamber is etched in your memory. And then you're back in the chamber of the paintings, illuminated by the headlamps. Noriko looks at them thoughtfully. So that was the world they once ruled, is all she says. 2 of the mercenaries are hammering a metal pole into the floor, apparently to suspend Rory's body from it. You notice that one of them has an incendiary grenade on his belt. You act. You grab the grenade, activate it, and hurl it at Noriko. But Noriko's reactions are inhumanly fast. Without turning her head, she slaps the grenade aside in midair. It explodes into a fireball against the wall. Your gambit has failed. You take advantage of the confusion to run. Beyond the cave with the paintings is a maze of narrow side tunnels. The mercenaries are soon left behind, burdened down as they are with their heavy weapon and armor and weapons. But Noriko is a relentless pursuer behind you in the darkness. You run as fast as you can, but you trip over a protruding rock in the darkness and go flying. Almost at once, Noriko is upon you and you are grappling with her. With hideous strength, she pushes your arms back, allowing her to bend down and get at your throat. It is like being drugged. Not painful at all beyond those tiny pinpricks. A pleasant lassitude begins to creep over you. Part of you just wants to surrender to it, to allow yourself to finally lie down and sleep. The temptation is too great. You give in to Noriko's bite, the pleasure made all the greater by the mingled pain. And you die, down there in the darkness. And I think I know just the music for that one. should have gone for the option with more, as I was going to, but too late for that now. I may or may not play this again to go through with other choices. However, as I've predicted, we have managed to complete this game within the stream. I will consider what to do next, whether the preparations will be worth it for the next game, or we switch over to a reading stream that I have been hatching for quite a while. I just need to prepare the presentation because, and this is going to be a bit of a surprise for everyone, however, let me pull out the, or was it, the picture that was supposed to go with it. Somewhere up here, let's see. If we are going to do that, we are going to do that outside of the stream. Either you and I, or someone else as well. And we are, of course, going to be taking a different approach, because we were severely lacking in some departments while being overqualified in others. The stab didn't work because she's a freaking vampire. You don't let vampires up close and personal. You shoot them. We had a double-barreled shotgun, for frick's sake. Why were you expecting the stab to work? That one's on you. Firmly. No, you do not want to rub it in with the vampires. You go for efficient and clean approach. That is always a good idea. Always. And now you paid the price. There we go, found it. Once again. However, as for the impromptu announcement on the topic of our next stream, ladies and gentlemen, if you are present in here, next up, expect a presentation on the Dictator's Handbook, why bad behavior is almost always good politics. It is a little bit outdated by this point with the recent developments, however, for the most part, it should still be holding up. Because listen, if Cleo Aite, a certified historian, can do lectures on historical topics, I can afford myself to be a little bit of a poli-sci hack. If Alex Jones can do it, especially him, so can I. I'll try to do this at least a chapter per stream. With, of course, as noted, presentations. However, by this point in time, we are going to call it for tonight. The game is over, you're free to go home, And we will be trying a different approach outside of the streams. I can guarantee you that. So do not despair just yet. All in all, this stream definitely took much less time than expected, even when I was forced to start earlier. Fascinating, is it not? Just an hour. At any rate, I would like to thank you all for coming, and I will see you all most likely tomorrow when we'll be going back to Mechanicus, because the grind does not sleep on that one. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.